This is Kerrigan and Company. Some banks focus on transactions. At Rockland Trust, we focus on people. Relationships come first because financial success isn't built in a single meeting or a single moment. It's built over time by listening and showing up, by being in your corner through every stage of life or business. Come bank where your relationship matters. Rockland Trust, where each relationship matters. Member FDIC. We're taking a journey forward on today's episode of Kerrigan and Company.
Kerrigan and Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan and Company is here for you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Kerrigan and Company. It's so good to have you with us today, and I'm really happy that keeping me company today is a voice that you absolutely know, and probably a face that you recognize as well. A friend of mine that I have known for many years, and he is here to talk about an event that's coming up. We're going to talk about him, of course, but an event that's coming up in early June that we're going to share a lot of information about. But before we get there, let me say it's great to have Mike Riley here.
Thank you,
Good to see you, sir.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. And this is awesome. So honored to be talking about what we will be talking about.
Right, which is, of course, Journey Forward.
Yeah.
They have a big event that's coming up in June, and you are a big part of that. Yeah. And we're going to explain more about that and how you can get tickets and you can be involved. But first, we got to talk to Mike. Mike, yeah. I was trying to think, how long have you and I known each other?
So, yeah, it goes back to at least 2010,
right?
When I was with Metro Traffic and I was doing the traffic reports for Fox 25, right? And they were a contractor for Metro, so I physically came in to Dedham, and I was the producer. And it couldn't have worked out better because I grew up in Needham and went right down the street 3:30 in the morning
Absolutely.
to get there at 5. Yes, it was a home run.
Yes. So unlike me, I was making the trek from North Shore to South.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So and then I was producing there, and then in addition to that, also it was like a split shift. So the morning I was at Fox, in the afternoon I was in Boston at Government Center where the studios were, and I was doing essential reports for radio stations throughout New England, from WEEI for the Sports Flash, WRKO for the traffic news weather. Let me see here, 96.9 when they were news talk as well. So you can go way back.
Absolutely.
And radio was changed, as we know.
Oh, absolutely.
So, so 2010, I'd say.
So you started there, but then you sort of veered yourself right into sports, because sports has always been your thing.
Yes, And
so you were there at EEI?
WEEI, and worked some big guys.
When I worked at WRKO. Were you in the EEI studios then?
So, yes.
I think we were crossed over there, too.
We were, and that was also... There were sister stations.
Yes.
So I was able to be on both, and I didn't have to change my name. So that was the beauty of that right there. So like one time, like, hey, Mike, you're going to do WEI, and then, oh, no, actually, we got to have you do the traffic on RKO.
Yeah.
So, but I was still all at Government Center. Yeah. And we just send the feed right down the line right there.
Absolutely.
So,
but you were there, and then you were on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub in 2014,
And had all kinds of funny and fun experiences there with the morning show.
Yeah, doing that, and, and able to cover the success of, obviously, the three last Super Bowls for the Patriots, the second part of that dynasty. Amazing. Going to it. Saw some unbelievable action here for sports in general. Really blessed. Really
Absolutely.
blessed.
Yeah. You talk about a decade, huh?
It's been amazing.
But now you talk about the Patriots. Now, this is just crazy. So now the voice of the Patriots, Gillette Stadium.
Patriots and the Revolution.
Mike, tell me about getting that job and how you are the PA announcer there.
Yes.
When you sit down in that stadium and you hear a voice, the voice of God, that is actually the voice of Mike.
Thank you. Fans, welcome to Gillette Stadium. I really put it on there.
I say this, but I know that people listening who aren't watching but are listening, they knew your voice the minute they heard it.
Oh, thank you.
Because of that.
Thank you.
That's a fact.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But how'd that come about? How'd you do that?
Yeah, so, pretty much since high school, I grew up in Needham, and I've been doing public address announcing since the high school level. level. I mean, I graduated in 2002, so you can do the math. And then did it through the collegiate level. I went to Newbury College, Division III. I worked my way up the ladder. I did stuff at Babson College. Did stuff at now Providence College Hockey. So did all the college routes there. Work your way up, and then when freelance opportunities arose, there was something that came about in 2009 with the Brockton Rocks.
Okay.
They were independent baseball. That was like a real big breakthrough.
Of course.
Right? So I really started that, did that for a good 3 years. Then I jumped into the Lowell Spinners, which was the single-A farm team of the Red Sox. Had a tryout with the Sox the year Carl Bean passed away. Remember that, 2012? And then they just went their own route there. But that was when I was kind of getting into that sports radio mix.
Sure.
And just to, keep my hand in the game for pretty much everything public address announcing on the side, build that profile with being on the air. The Patriots and the Revolution situation came up for a tryout when I was still at the Sports Hub in the summer of 2019 for the Revolution. And I did a couple of games during that summer. Turns out that fall I got a random email from someone with the Patriots, and they needed a fill-in for a game. And unfortunately, it was middle of the season. It was 2019, Tom Brady's last year here. And what was unfortunate, the individual who I was filling in for actually had passed away not too long ago. Not too long after that, excuse me.
Right.
And then it was like already doing the Revolution, so kind of combined me into that right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But just been able to do amazing things, amazing experiences,
it's so
training
cool.
camp. Yeah, and then Super Bowl this year.
Yep.
Been
Yep.
so much fun.
Right.
So
It puts you in positions to do other things for them, which is so great. Okay, now.
Like an ambassador for the team, in a way, yeah.
Very good. I like that.
Yeah, but I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Ambassador Riley. Yeah. I love that. That's from now on. That's
Please
what
tell
I'm
my
going to be
wife
called.
that, will you?
Right. Okay, so first off, let me go to soccer for a second.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Some of those names.
Yeah.
Come on. That's a challenge.
Some tough ones, yeah. And thankfully, we have an unbelievable media relations staff.
Okay.
So I am constantly, I want to get to a game. For a 7:30 game, you want to get there by 5.
Yeah.
And probably by 5:10, I'm already talking to media relations people.
I bet.
Triple checking the names.
Just making sure you understand.
Absolutely.
And then there's the whole idea that the energy for a soccer game and the announcing is very different than the energy for a football game.
There is, yeah. Soccer, the heavy front load, the heavy part is the front load. It's pregame.
Okay.
So, you'll have check presentations, charity things. Maybe Kim Kerrigan is our honorary captain of the game, which I'm going to nominate
do that, by the way.
Yeah, I think we're going to do it. Well, let's talk about that off the air. So things like that. And yes, like you said, once the game starts, especially that first half, it's kind of mellow.
Sure. Yep.
But it can get busy in the second half with substitutions. So, yes, when a goal happens, you really got to emphasize it.
Oh,
but for the home team. Right. But the road team, no, that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he got it in.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So just go as quickly as you can, and that's it, right?
It's so great. It's so fun. That is a cool thing.
I love it. And football, you're on your toes. There's constant action.
Of course.
And sponsors, you know that. You got to read correctly.
Absolutely.
Read it as it is. Don't change a thing.
Exactly. You've got to get all the sponsors in.
Yes.
Such a fun thing.
I love it. It's a dream come true.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It is a dream come true, I hope.
Growing up here, Boston, my whole life, growing up a Patriots fan, I mean, even in the 90s, I'm a 90s kid. When I grew up, and, some of those games were blacked out because they couldn't sell out Foxborough Stadium. And we didn't get the games on TV very early. But it was like, wow, now just being a part of that, it's really, I got to pinch myself every time
phenomenal.
I go. Yeah,
it's
thank
phenomenal.
you. I appreciate it.
Hey, speaking of sponsors, we do this thing here called Fast Five.
Great segue, Kim.
It is brought to you by Rockland Trust Bank, where each relationship matters. Visit your nearest branch or go to rocklandtrust.com to learn more. 5 questions, rapid fire. Are you ready, my friend?
Go for it.
If you could announce any sports event in history, what would it be?
Oh, Super Bowl.
Most random thing you'd ever announced?
Oh my gosh, I got to think about that. Maybe something with the Patriots event, the dogs. The Patriots have an adoption thing. We had a little relay race for them at the train. That was really cool doing something like that. That was awesome.
Most underrated Boston sports figure?
Oh, dang. I got to think about that one. Most underrated, all time or current?
Just most underrated.
Boy, can I get back to you on that one? I gotta think. I want to have like a really good
That is
answer.
not one of the
I know. All right,
answers.
fine. All right, let's say. I was gonna say Devin McCourty, but he's just really appreciated. Gosh. Oh, Matthew Slater. There we go. Matthew Slater. How's that? Underappreciated.
Well, he's appreciated by you.
There we
Best
go.
press box snack.
Oh boy, something with protein. A little snack. Because I try to stay away from the sugar.
You're so good.
But all right, popcorn. There you go. How's that?
And finally, who's your favorite Brady Bunch character?
Oh, Chris Knight, without question. He's
Peter Brady.
He's number one. Yeah, Peter Brady. Yeah, there we go.
Now, I ask you that out of the clear blue, which I know it sounds like it is, but believe it or not, Christopher Knight is going to be with us a little bit later in the show because he is the host of a wonderful event that is on its 18th year, right?
18th year, yeah. Chris is so involved with the event coming up in a couple of weeks, and just a real solid guy.
It's Journey Forward, and this is a nonprofit here that works with people with spinal injuries and nervous system injuries, people who are in wheelchairs, gets them up, gets them moving. You too are involved in this event and this wonderful organization. We're going to learn more about the event and about your involvement, about Christopher Knight's involvement from the person who started it. Talk about an inspirational individual. His name is Dan Cummings, and he is going to join us in just a moment. I am so glad you're here.
I'm so honored to be here, Kim. Thank you so much.
And I am so proud of you. What a great thing.
Appreciate it.
All right, stay with us, everybody. Journey Forward coming up right after the break. This is Kerrigan and Company. Banking shouldn't feel transactional. It should feel personal. At Rockland Trust Bank, we take the time to get to know what matters for your business so we can support what comes next, not just today, but for years to come. Because when you have a banker who knows your business, understands your goals, and sees your vision, that partner can make all the difference. Come bank where your relationship matters. Rockland Trust Bank, where each relationship matters. Go to rocklandtrust.com for more information. Member FDIC. Do you need to buy new technology? Let AGI Beacon help you buy better tech for less. The team at AGI Beacon understands technology from the inside out. AGI Beacon provides expert guidance to help businesses navigate complex technology decisions with clarity. With AI transforming business operations at an unprecedented pace, having the right advisory partner is no longer an option. Go to agibeacon.com today to learn how they can help you with all your technology needs. That's agibeacon.com.
The rhythm is gonna get you. On Your Feet is the electrifying musical story of Emilio and Gloria Estefan, June 3rd through June 14th at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Tickets at nsmt.org.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Allure Matchmaking. Your forever after is waiting for you. Find them through Allure Matchmaking. Go to allurematchmaking.com today. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan and Company. So good to have you with us today. And, of course, keeping me company today is Mike Riley. I know everybody else calls you Sarge, but I don't.
That's okay. You don't have to.
I mean, you're Mike to me.
My wife will not call me that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
she refuses to.
Yeah. I mean, I think of that as, I mean, it's very cute and it's very fun.
It's
and I
a
think
sports
it's really
radio.
Fun.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You and I know each other.
Yeah, we're better than that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't waste your time, Kim.
Hey, listen, our next guest you know very well. In fact, you were just saying how long the two of you have worked together with a fabulous organization. Joining us is Dan Cummings, and Dan is the founder of Journey Forward, a nonprofit that you have been instrumental in a lot of their fundraising, which is great.
Yeah.
And we're going to hear all about what that is. But it is so good to have you here, Dan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You guys have a big event coming up in June.
Yeah.
You have a big event this week. Dan's getting married this week, which is phenomenal.
He's
So congratulations.
making time for you, Kim. That's amazing.
I know.
A week of a wedding and here in the pot. This is
please.
unbelievable. Yeah, incredible. Play the number.
But Dan, your story is the impetus behind Journey Forward. So I think our best bet is for you to just start by telling the story.
Absolutely.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's actually going to be 26 years on June 4th. I was 19 years old, June 24th, I should say. June 24th, 2000. I was just out with my friends on a lake, swimming, and I decided to dive off a boat, not realizing the depth of the water. And I dove in, and the next thing I knew, I opened my eyes underwater, and I couldn't move. And took a little bit, but my friends realized that I wasn't moving, and they said, geez, we got to go. So they ran in, and they pulled me out onto the shore. And I immediately noticed I couldn't move my legs. You know, I was like, I can't move my legs. I can't move my legs. You know, my friend started hitting my leg, and he said, Dan, can you feel that? And I couldn't feel it, and I knew what happened. I said, call 911. That was the last thing I remember. I think I went into shock. You know, my friend said I never lost consciousness. So I probably went into shock, and I was airlifted to the Boston Medical Center. But on top of breaking my neck at the C6 vertebrae, I had swallowed a lot of dirty water. So I became very sick. My left lung had collapsed, and I came down with a severe pneumonia. And I was on a life support system known as a ventilator because I was unable to breathe on my own. So when my family was asking the doctors, you know, the chances of me getting up and walking out of there, doctors just told my family to take one day at a time. You know, they weren't sure if I was going to make it through the night. And then after about 2.5 to 3 weeks later, the pneumonia cleared up and my lungs had gotten better and I started to breathe on my own, and the doctors realized that I was going to survive. But the thought of me ever walking again or ever having any sense of independence was out of the question. They actually said I would be a dependent quadriplegic. I would spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair, and I'd be very lucky if I could feed myself again. You know, so you're hearing that at 19 years old. You know, I've always said the best thing the doctors could have done for me, besides saving my life, is giving me that prognosis, because it lit a fire under me, like, and I wanted it more than I ever wanted anything in my life. You know, and so it was a little slow in the beginning because insurance companies was only covering 45 minutes 3 days a week. I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. So I was doing as much as I could on my own. But
which is nearly impossible at that point, really, to be doing anything on your own, right? Or to be expected to do so.
Yeah, like I had a standing frame at home. You know, we'd get into a standing frame. It would put me in a standing position. I would get into that like every night for 3 hours. I was always a big Red Sox fan, so I'd get up and watch the Red Sox games in my standing frame. And I was doing as much as I could on my own. But I felt like my therapists also were teaching me how to live in my wheelchair. I wanted to be taught how to get out of my wheelchair.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and then after about the 2-year mark, my insurance cut me off. You know, you're done progressing. And then I'd battle. I'd get, 15 more visits here, 10 more visits there. And I did a lot of research, and I found out about a place in Southern California that worked with individuals with spinal cord injuries up to 3 hours a day. And I was like, wow, 3 hours a day. I mean, that's what I needed. I was willing to put in the work. I just needed the opportunity.
Sure.
You know, insurance did not cover this place, of course. It was all private pay, so I ended up moving out there. I went out there and visited September 2002. I had a brother who lives in L.A. I gave him a call, and I flew out to L.A., and him and I drove down to San Diego, and I went in this center, and I was in there for not even 5 minutes, and I was like, this is where I need to be. You know, it was an intense exercise-based program. I saw the trainers working their clients hard. You know, I saw specialists doing things with their clients that my therapist wouldn't dream of doing with me. You know, and I knew immediately that was the program I needed to be a part of, but the biggest problem is I lived 3,000 miles away. And at that point, I still was dependent. I'm the youngest of 7, so my older brothers and sisters would help on days that they could, but I also had a personal care assistant, 5 days a week that would come and help. So if I was going to make this move to California, my older brothers and sisters, they were married, they had their careers, they couldn't really uproot their lives. My brother Jimmy up in L.A. couldn't move an hour and a half south.
Sure.
So it was a move I was going to have to make on my own. And I remember coming home and just, literally, forcing myself into independency. It was like, you can't help me, you're not going to be in California. Tying my sneakers was taking me 45 minutes. But 3 months later, I was doing it in 30 minutes, and then 2 months later, I was doing it in 15 minutes. And, I was now dressing myself and buttoning buttons and zippering zippers, which was hard to do, and you couldn't move your fingers. I went and I got my license back. I learned how to drive. And 11 months after visiting the center, August 1st, 2003, I boarded a plane. I flew out to California. I got a 1-bedroom apartment, and I joined this program. And it was an intense exercise-based program. I'm talking blood, sweat, and tears. I gave it everything I had every single day. And I was in that program for nearly 4 years before I walked out of there with my walker, which was 7 years after doctors told me I would never walk again. Wow. And that left me the goal I couldn't understand coming from Boston, Massachusetts. We're supposed to have the best hospitals and the best health care, blah, blah, blah. Why did I have to move 3,000 miles away to not only find a place to help me get back on my feet, but a place to give me my life back, a healthy, quality, independent life. So I wanted to bring that program home to Boston for others so they didn't have to move, 3,000 miles away for the help that they needed. And Journey Forward was born on June 1st, 2008.
Wow.
Wow.
What a story, huh?
Yeah.
What a story. Well, let me, before we talk about Journey Forward, because, Mike, this is where you come in to the story as well. You now, you're getting married, you live on your own, you function, I mean, you're standing right now. I mean, it's so amazing. What do doctors say about that? You know, I mean, why physically are you able to do that?
They
Really beat the odds.
100%.
Right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
really did beat the odds,
You know, I heard when Chronicle did a big story on me back in 2012, and they interviewed a doctor, and what did they say? It was an unexplainable recovery that can't be explained.
Wow.
Is the words they used or something. And in my head, I'm like, well, I can explain it. You know, a lot of hard work and believing in myself. You know, as long as you believe in yourself and, you know, you give it everything you have and just never give up. You know, that's all you can do. But I just know that if I listened to what those doctors told me back in 2000, I'd still be sitting in my wheelchair today.
You would admit, though, that there are people who hit a wall, they go as far as they can
Without a
go
doubt.
physically, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I was lucky. I know there was definitely some luck in there. You have to, right? I mean, a lot of hard work, opportunity. I'm big into faith. You know, God played a
19,
huge
20 years old, right?
Oh,
Young.
yeah, I was young. I was an athlete. I worked out. I had that on my side,
Right.
and I knew it at the time. And then obviously some luck thrown in, you know, and obviously the love of God. So.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Just like so inspirational. And, you know, obviously seeing what Dan does now with Journey Forward, giving back, helping other people out, hearing his story. I mean, you think we're having a bad day, we have nothing to complain about.
Well, isn't that the truth?
Right.
Right, exactly. So tell me a little bit about, Mike, how you got involved, though, and how you met Dan and how the whole situation shakes.
Sure, yeah. So my background, you know, being sports radio and, you know, game day announcing at Gillette. Dan, I was connected with him about 9 years ago now. It was the 10th anniversary of Journey Forward for their gala. And it was the fall of, was it 2018? 2018, yeah. It was at Mosley's on the Charles. And Dan asked me, I got connected with him, and him and his brother Jimmy, reached out to me, asked if I could kind of do some announcements in between music and so forth, and get on there like an MC DJ thing. I said, yeah, I'm happy to do it. And, you know, like, what's your price? No, volunteering. So that's that's the way you give back. You do what you can, right?
You bet.
So did that, and been able to, we had the casino night in the following year, which was great at King's Dedham, and been able to help out there again in between bowling games where it's at the alley, of course, and then announce raffles, really push people, just keep everyone excited, you know?
Absolutely.
That sort of thing.
Sure.
And the following year was COVID, right? So the world went upside down, and on the side, I also do trivia and music bingo for fundraisers. So Dan's like, I don't know what to do. And then he's like, wait a minute, you do trivia, right? And I do. And he goes, what do you think about doing a virtual one? I'm like, let's do it. So with Chris Knight in California, we bring him on, and he's done was a Trivial Pursuit in the past. He's hosted that, like, on national. So I'm coming up with the questions, and Chris Knight and I are going over, like, the day before. He goes, all right, you're going to ask this, and I'm going to do this. And we're like, switch it off. It's pretty good. And I'm like, is this really happening? I'm doing this with Peter Brady on for trivia right now. And we were working the year before at the event anyways.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we're able to do that and adapt on the fly, that was really awesome.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, I've been blessed to be part of this. And, you know, I've always was told you give back what you can. And if you have that platform, you do it. And Dan has become a friend of mine. And it's an honor to be a part of this great organization. I tell people, if you can donate your money, give it a Journey Forward.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are actually associated with Christopher Reeves, that organization as well, right?
Yeah, we're
Dana
part of the
Christopher
Neurological Recovery Network.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're one of, you know, probably about 12 or 13 hospitals, universities. We're characterized in the medical field as a fitness and wellness center.
Yeah.
We're a lot more than a fitness and wellness center, but that's what, you know, they categorize us as. So there's a handful of fitness and wellness centers thrown in there. And, you know, we're working together. The lead researcher, Dr. Susan Harkema, is overseeing the whole project, and we're collecting data. And, you know, we all work together.
Sure.
And, you know, what works, what doesn't work. You know, we go out. It's Journey Forward, you know, we've been open since 2008, but we're not the same place we were in 2008.
Yeah,
We've
so tell us
evolved
about
over
the
years.
facility itself and all of that kind of thing.
Well, we have a 12,000 square foot facility in Canton. You know, we originally opened in a 5,000 square foot facility with a lot of your basic gym equipment. And, in those early days, being a nonprofit, fundraising is so critical.
Yeah.
But those early days, we were just fundraising to keep the doors open. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then probably after about, we opened 2008, then about 2010, 11, we started being able to focus fundraising on more equipment. And, one other thing that always irked me about the place in California is they never had a financial assistance program. And I always wanted to make sure Journey Forward had a financial assistance program for those who can't afford it. So on January 1st, 2013, the Journey Forward Financial Assistance Program was established. And since that time, we have granted just over $700,000 to about 67 individuals who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford the program.
Yeah. I mean, right, exactly. You want that accessible to everyone who desperately needs it or wants to try as hard as they can. Really interesting, too. Where have you found the people who work there? And they didn't find you in the beginning when you were first injured, so where did you find them?
Well, they just need a degree in exercise science and kinesiology. So we'd reach out when we first opened. We're reaching out to different colleges, I should say, and just letting them know what we do. With we're in town,
Sure.
blah, blah, trying to get some interns. Then we build a great relationship through that, and we also just really like any other job. You put it online, and we're looking for an exercise specialist. These are the qualifications. This is the degree you need. And then we hire them. But then they go through a training process at Journey Forward. We don't bring someone in and they start working with clients.
Right.
It takes several months before they're actually running workouts.
Sure.
So it's an intense training process. Our lead specialist Dave, he's in charge of training all the new hires. He does a great job at that.
Yeah, I bet.
What's the age gap, too, Dan, for people that go there, ranging anywhere from...
Really, we work with kids, but our youngest at Journey Forward, I would have to say, she's growing up now, so she may be 15 now, and the oldest one, it's in their 80s. So really from the 80s to 15, everything in between.
Yeah.
Wow.
And is everybody...
The majority of our clients, though, I would say are probably between 20 and 40.
Yeah. And Dan, are all of them accident victims, or is it a myriad of reasons why people are there?
Yeah, all different reasons. And we're not only... So we originally opened just working with spinal cord injury, but today we work with all neurological conditions. Work with stroke, work with cerebral palsy, traumatic brain injury. We do specialize in spinal cord injury, and that's with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. So we do specialize with that, and the research is based off of that. But as we've learned just from doing it over the years, is this doesn't help just with spinal cord injury. This helps with all types of neurological conditions. And one thing I also want to say, too, is, we talk a lot about walking again. And everyone's goal is to walk again, but it's so much more than walking again. It's about health. It's about a quality of life.
Right.
There are so many secondary complications that come along with a spinal cord injury or really anyone in a wheelchair. Able-bodied people should be exercising. Never mind someone who sits in a wheelchair 24 hours a day. At least with an able-bodied individual, they can stand, they can walk room to room, bearing their weight, getting that blood flow, getting the cardio. Whereas someone sitting down in a wheelchair 24/7, I hate to say it, but the reality is they're just slowly rotting away. It's important for them to be moving and exercising to help decrease many of those secondary complications.
Share with me, besides your obvious fabulous story, give me one really great story that sticks out, somebody who came through the system.
One of the my favorite stories, I'll always remember it, and I'm going back now 15 years. He was from Uganda, and geez, what was his name? Doug. I think his name was Doug. He was from Uganda. He was in America, making some extra money, because that's what, they do. They come to the States at that time of year. They try to make some extra money. And he was injured, and he broke his back, and he had a spinal cord injury. So he ends up in the hospital. And he ended up coming to Journey Forward. But his goal was to go back home to his family in Uganda, but he had to do what he had to do. There was no Journey Forwards and no health care. He needed to be here. And he came to Journey Forward maybe for about minimum 2 years, maybe about 3 years or so, maybe 4, 3 or 4 years. He ends up walking out of Journey Forward with loft strength crutches. Wow. And went to go back home with his wife and his kids in Uganda. That story will always stick out to me, and maybe because it was one of our first that we actually got up and walking, but I loved that story.
Oh, yeah.
That story always,
Yeah, he had a dangling carrot. He had a reason to get better, so he could get home.
His family at home.
Yeah, which I would imagine you find that with a lot of first you got to get past that. There is a reason. Don't feel sorry for yourself. We got to get you up and get you moving, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, feeling bad and sorry for yourself, it's not going to, life moves on, it moves on with or without you. That's not going to do anything. I'm going to tell you the best advice I ever got. I'll remember I was in intensive care, and I remember my brother Jimmy standing at my bedside, and he said to me, Danny, he said, whatever it is you do, never ever look back at this day and ask yourself, why did I dive off that boat? Mm-hmm. He said, there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is make it better. I never forgot that. I never went into a depression after my injury. I never, thank God, I just never did. I never got depressed, but I always remembered that. Depression isn't going to do anything. All I can do is take one day at a time, give it everything I have on that one in particular day. And that's
well, you're an inspiration to a lot of people, and you're, myself included, by the way. That's advice everybody should take. Whether you've jumped off a boat or whatever you've done, looking back is never going to get us anywhere, is it? You got to keep moving forward. You've also brought an incredible place and opportunity to so many people here. So, our next guest. You mentioned him already. Christopher Knight is going to join us because he has been so intimately involved as well. But you guys, the big event is coming up very soon.
Yes.
June 4th.
June 4th, back at King's in Dedham. Tickets still available?
Yes, tickets on our website, journey-forward.org. We sell tickets at the door as well.
Awesome.
Doors open 6 p.m.
Yeah,
awesome.
and really, if you have nothing going on, or if you do have something going on, change your plans.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
a great time.
Well, it appears that it's a great time. And clearly it is a great cause.
And you see the people, the clients there. If that's not inspirational, again, I don't know what is.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And just a quick reminder to everyone, when a nonprofit like this has an event, it's great if you can attend it, but they'll take your money any day of the week. Yes. So if you can't attend, be sure you go to their website and see how you can donate. So good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. We're going to take a break, everybody, and when we come back, we're going to have a little chat with Christopher Knight. This is Kerrigan & Company. Boston is full of smart, driven professionals whose lives are full, but their love lives, well, not so much. That's where Allure Matchmaking comes in. Led by Jill Vander, Boston's most respected matchmaker with more than 25 plus years of experience, Allure eliminates the noise of dating apps and replaces it with discretion, dignity, and high-quality introductions. Every match is thoughtfully vetted and personally selected. No public profiles, no endless swiping, and no guessing games. If you're ready to stop wasting time and level up your dating life, contact AllureMatchmaking.com today. Our friends at Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa in Beverly have some big news. They're now carrying Epion's medical-grade skincare. Epion's is best known for its hydration and collagen-building products. We all know that hydration and collagen are two key factors in fresh, glowing skin, and these products are available just in time for the summer. And right now, if you buy 3 Epion's products at Sienna, you'll receive a cleanser for free. That's a $40 value. So don't miss out on their new product line and their wonderful services at Sienna Aesthetics. Go to siennaaesthetics.com. This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by the North Shore Music Theater. See On Your Feet, the story of Emilio and Gloria Estefan, played June 3rd through the 14th. Get your tickets at nsmt.org. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. Of course, keeping me company today is Mike Riley. And we just had Dan Cummings on. Oh, what a terrific guy he is,
Amazing.
Mike.
Yeah, just to hear that whole story, too, and how Journey Forward came about, his anniversary for the diving accident, Journey Forward the same month it started, and how appropriate, too, with Casino Night the same month as well.
Yeah, absolutely, in June. And we want to just keep reminding people that's coming up June the 4th.
June 4th.
And you can go to their website if you would like to have tickets. They're also going to sell tickets at the door. Yep. Now, as someone who's instrumental in that night as well, and I'm so tickled to get the chance to meet, and I want to hear his story about how he's gotten involved. But folks will recognize this individual, not necessarily from Journey Forward, although he's been involved for a lot of years, but more importantly, probably from his television days, as of course Peter Brady on the Brady Bunch. It's so great to have Christopher Knight with us. Hi, Chris. Great to see you.
Hello, Kim. Thank you.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I know you already know Mike, right?
Good to see you, Chris.
Yeah, great.
Looking forward to a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's coming soon.
In fact, Chris, off the air, you were saying that you're going to actually come to town a little bit earlier. I think you do some promotion for the event. And tell us a little bit about how you got involved.
Yeah, I always come in a little bit early to get some promotion in and then stick around. Boston's one of my favorite towns. I'm going to enjoy some family time. My wife's family is going to come into town, and we're going to perhaps walk a little bit of the Freedom Trail.
Awesome.
Get a lobster roll, some clam chowder.
Do you? By the way, before you tell us, do you slip into the accent once you get here in Boston? A lobster.
Give me a pork chops and applesauce.
If I do, I don't notice it.
Okay,
I may.
Okay,
but we have a dog who's now 5 years old. Actually, earlier this month turned 5. But she's a little Boston girl.
Okay.
She was born in the Bay there. So
nice.
Yeah, so there's a little Boston in the home here, but it's lacking a certain human accent.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
We've said that he's coming for obviously the Journey Forward event. So tell us about. We didn't ask Dan on the air how the two of you came to know one another. Maybe you could share that story.
It was Dan's story is totally and truly effective. And I didn't know Dan, but I knew his brother, Jimmy Cummings, who lived here in L.A., himself a producer, actor, writer. And it's through that intersection that Jimmy and I became acquaintances. And about the time that we were meeting, Jimmy and I, Dan was just starting Journey Forward and throwing his first fundraiser, an event that he needed a host for. And Jimmy suggested maybe I'd be interested in that. And I thought, well, I could be, what's the story? Told me about Dan. And I said, well, let's get me in touch with Dan. And upon the first phone call and hearing Dan's story, became very clear I needed to be involved. When he said they wanted to they wanted to confine me to a wheelchair so that I didn't harm myself, and I wanted them to teach me how to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's understandable.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that his story up to that point was already remarkable. And he would then continue to make it so from the time I met him through now. It's been, I think this is the 18th year. I don't think it's our 18th event because we were closed out a few years because of COVID. But I believe that it was 18 years ago that we began the first casino night, 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I said when at a certain point you're going to grow this and you're going to need a much bigger star. And I'm ready to back away as soon as he gets that done. But so far, 18 years later, it's been a good fit. I've enjoyed every minute of being associated with Journey Forward and what Dan has done for his local community and the greater community there in New England, because facility like his was not available. Anybody that wanted that kind of treatment would need to travel great distances. They're not very common throughout the country, and he should be. Well, he is. He should be lauded for what he has done there, and the treatment that he's provided those in the community.
And actually, Chris, talking about that 18 years, I've been fortunate to be involved 8 years hanging with you in person. During the COVID year, we did that trivia event together. That was one of the coolest things ever. But I'll say this about Chris Kim, and he's just a genuine guy. He'll come to the event at King's and Dedham, Journey Forward Casino Night, June 4th, and he'll take pictures with everyone. He will take a picture with everyone. He will not turn anybody away. He'll talk to you for 5 minutes like you're his new best friend. Just a real solid guy. He's giving up his time traveling cross country to do this, to give back to Dan Cummings, Journey Forward, and all the clients, too, that attend that night right there. And just, someone with that caliber, Chris Knight, Peter Brady, everyone knows that. That's pretty awesome.
At least I could do. It's
amazing.
That's what I can provide. If that's the least I can do. Like I said, it's a good fit. It's to sound cliche, too on point. It's a very Brady evening. I mean, it's very familial. It's about family, and it's about that kind of brotherhood, that kind of support that family and close friends provide. And ultimately that creates community.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, Christopher,
it feels good.
I want you to know that off the air, Dan was telling us about how the two of you met. And you said to us just now, if he gets a bigger star, I'll understand. And he said, I've never met anybody who could be so loyal. He never turns away. So I hope you don't plan to back out anytime soon, because he's not looking for another star. I want you to know.
He is a hero of mine. I'm going to, he gets whatever Dan needs. So,
yeah, it's terrific.
He's tremendous.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about you and about the illustrious career that you have had in so many places? Christopher, obviously, we all know you from the Brady Bunch, and that's terrific. And then we know you subsequently from a lot of these really great shows that have happened since that show aired, and the reunions and the movies and the different things that have happened. But Chris, I didn't realize until I would say probably in the last year and a half or 2 years, you are a businessman extraordinaire. I mean, you have built a life that would be someone's full career. Forget about the acting portion of all of this and the public persona. You have another whole life out there as a businessman.
Yeah, I've made ADD work for me. Having a difficulty focusing on one thing. I need multiple things to focus on, and have been lucky in those paths. And in all cases, it's been sort of just an exploration, sort of following a curiosity, and then finding out that it'd become a career path. So this is not by great design; it's just by necessity, I suppose, that I find myself with the various and varied careers that I've had. I'm just exploring interests, as seems to be the right thing to do for me, at least. So, and I've been very fortunate and grateful for it.
Well, it's really terrific, and I think it's really cool. So you have Christopher Knight Home, right? So you have all of the right, and all of the great furniture. Which, by the way, I'm a home gal, so I love that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And I loved how it sort of
Hopefully
played.
We all have a home.
Yeah, right. Well, if we're blessed enough, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
But then it was really cool because you guys were ultimately involved in the HGTV remodeling of the Brady home,
that's right.
which was such a cool thing. I thought that was just such a great event.
A totally extraordinary experience.
Yeah, I bet. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, taking fantasy and making it real. Providing ourselves with an anniversary gift, if you will, because it was the 50th anniversary of the first broadcast when we did the program. And now the home exists with a very kind, generous owner who has applied for and received a cultural and historical designation for the home. Yeah. So it'll exist in perpetuity now as sort of a representation of the place that I grew up. I mean, it's for me like going back to an old classroom, but more significant than that, it's like it's a second home. And though America saw it from the very specific lens of that camera that was pointed at us, it for us had no wall, no ceiling, fourth wall was missing. But now this house has that. It has a street out the front door. It has, a sky out the window. So it's even a broader representation of what it was that we had as kids. So, it's going to live forever. I'm local here in Los Angeles. The home is in Studio City, and it's local. Tina Trahan, who owns the home, makes the home available for charitable causes, for tours, and I'm I'm recruited occasionally to do a tour.
I bet.
Nice.
And it never gets old. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many stories
Yeah.
that I remember from my days working there so many years ago.
That's so
It seemed like
great.
yesterday.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I bet you want to go visit that, Kim.
I would like
Yeah.
to. I can see so much of it in
Chris will
my
give you a
mind.
tour.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a portal. You know, like as soon as you're there, it's like you've entered a television. You
I
know,
bet.
like you're
Yeah,
inside
I
of
bet
it.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, even for somebody like you say, you know, for those who have been in front of cameras, you understand that sets are very different than when you actually walk into that home, and so that has to be something very special, even for those of you who are involved in it all the time. Hey, I wanted to ask you. I was just reading. Eve Plummer has a new book out, and I was wondering if you were familiar with it. Happiness Included: Jan Brady and Beyond. I thought that was kind of a cool
I
thing.
am familiar with it.
Yeah.
I wrote a short forward for her,
Uh-huh.
and she's on a tour now. As it's just been released. So,
Mm-hmm.
and familiar, although as familiar as I was, obviously with Eve, we're lifelong friends.
Sure.
It goes to prove that no matter how well you know someone, until they actually write their story, you there's lots of aspects of them that you weren't privy to, or those stories never were shared or came up. And now reading the book, it's a much there's a lot in that explanation that now makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I knew the book was out there, and I'd actually like to pick that book up and read it at some point.
Absolutely.
You know, I think all of us grew up with you guys, and we feel like we know all of you. And then to get that adult perspective on all of it, I think is so interesting. Chris, let me ask you this. I know at the time, I've seen you interviewed many times, and you've been asked this many times, but, you know, at the time you guys had no idea the kind of lasting impact this show would probably have. Now looking back and knowing what you know as an adult man who has you know, watched the world of Hollywood and television evolve, is it unreal to you how it has had some kind of lasting impact on so many people?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that and didn't say, no, Kim, I would have always known.
Yeah.
No question. And but the question or the answer gets more emphatic with all the years that it's asked. That was many years ago now that I rationalized that this thing has grown beyond its intent. It was entertainment. But along the way, it had become something more than that. What that was, I wasn't completely certain of. But it's become clearer over time that what that is it's become a representation of family, at least as we see it in the United States. And everybody's a Brady. And if they didn't grow up like the Bradys, having the Bradys as an aspirational aspect of something, it represents what they would have as a family given the choice. If they could correct for their family, it'd be a Brady-like life. And it's very simple. I mean, it was just a story. I mean, it could have been a cartoon. It was that simple. But it was also that true in its storytelling about family and making family work. There's so little representation of it for us, and perhaps not enough even in our homes, that I believe that it's supplying a missing component or a desired component in people's lives. And that's the reason that it still manages to be in the forefront of people's minds nearly 60 years later, because there hasn't been something to displace it as the new modern version of a functional family. It's a lot more fun, probably funny, to tell a story of a dysfunctional family. So there's very few representations of a true working family. And it really comes down to respect. I mean, our communities we're taught how to get along with one another first inside the walls of our house. and where we belong in our little society inside the home.
Sure.
um, is something learned. It's something that we struggle with once we get out the front door, and we certainly will struggle with it if we haven't learned it inside that front door.
So true. So true.
Any of the cast members, Chris, I know you just talked about Eve Plummer a few moments ago, but her new book, anyone you really keep in touch with the most out of the whole cast that's still with us?
Eve Plum,
excuse me.
definitely at this point. She lives in New York and in South Carolina, but with Zoom, we're on a Zoom every other week speaking. Her husband and Kara, my wife, the four of us together. I see Barry frequently when he's in Los Angeles. He lives in Missouri now.
You guys actually did a podcast together.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We did the Real Brady Bros together.
Yep.
We did an episodic recap of all of our episodes where we went back and watched them for the first time in 50 years.
So cool.
And learned what it was that our audience was tapping into all these years, like catching up with them. So, and that too was virtual because we would do that like a Zoom.
Yep.
Mike is in Utah. I see him on occasion. There's always something brewing. There's always a Brady project that is in some state of formation or completion or discussion. That brings us back together. Susan's local. Maureen is local.
Yeah.
So I'll have dinner with Maureen every other month or so now. We're like brother and sister. We're there's nobody I know on this planet other than my own relations longer. So it's been almost 60 years now. As we grew up together, we were formed together, and so we're friends forever.
Absolutely.
Introduced as co-workers and now family.
Yeah, that's it. Right, absolutely. Well, you spent those formative years together, and only the six of you have had the experience, that you've had. You're the only ones who can really relate and understand that.
Well, I mean, that it's a curious thing because forever Brady's have we walk and are representative of that to others, right? And are reminded of it because others recognize us. And that doesn't fade, but only grows stronger over time leads to the question of what nerve did we tap into?
Yeah.
And why? So we're become almost the experts because we've seen the evolution of this thing over time.
Yeah.
And it's been a question. It's been a very strong pull in our lives, all of our lives.
Of course.
As something that is having an effect on people, and though we might have expected it to just fade away, disappear, that it hasn't is pretty unique.
Yeah.
There is no true answer, but it is something that we are influenced by every day, and so in some regards, we're foxhole buddies because of that experience. And I mean, it's a good foxhole that we're in, but it's a unique one.
Yeah, it's terrific. Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of television shows, that's for sure. And there were a lot in the 70s, and there were only 3 networks. And so people were watching TV, but very few of them have lasted in the way that the Bradys have. I mean, it really is it's a cult show, number one. My sister has seen every single episode probably 30 times. I mean, she can actually recite right along time, with you. Yeah. And I've seen all of them certainly.
There's something about that which we enjoy as children that is lasting, more lasting than that which files in or fills in when we're an adult.
Sure.
I can remember more or less the difference between being 10 and 12, more so than 32 and 34.
Right.
That blends together, but those first 10 years of life or 15 are pretty well metered and measured.
You bet.
And that this was during that period of time for other kids that were of that age, lends them something that even in adulthood they'll remember. And it supplies them, I believe, this sort of a warm blanket. I mean, we're a comfortable, couch.
Yeah. That's right.
A safe place, a
That's
harbor,
right.
a safe harbor. And what's interesting, people like to say, like, I wish we could get back to those good old days. And we were, produced in 69 through 74.
Yeah.
You had to be there to understand just how difficult society was during that period
Absolutely.
of time.
Yeah.
We're probably edging into times that are similar to it right now.
Yeah.
But I have noticed over the years, as we've reached times of more turmoil, the show becomes more important in people's lives. Its placement or its use is it's worn more completely during those periods of time as some kind of safe harbor.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's something about that, because it really is. It's about home and the simplicity that can come from a place where people respect one another.
Christopher Knight, it's been a delight to have you on the show. We want to remind everybody you will be in Boston for the Journey Forward event. It's casino night down at King's in Dedham.
Yep.
It is on July the 4th. June the 4th. Yeah, July the 4th. That just rolls right off your tongue, right? June the 4th. And you can go to their website and be sure you pick up tickets, or you can certainly get them at the door. Thank you, sir, very much for what you do for the organizations and, what you do for everybody. It's just it makes me very much smile. It makes me feel like the Bradys.
Yes, it's a very Brady Eve. You should come down. But thank you for giving us the opportunity to let people know about it.
Absolutely.
And Sarge, I'll see you there.
I can't wait, Chris. I'm pumped to see you, buddy. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Phil.
everybody. We're going to wrap things up here on Kerrigan and Company in just a moment. Stay with us.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spiced, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived. Life enjoyed.
The rhythm is gonna get you. On Your Feet is the electrifying musical story of Emilio and Gloria Estefan, June 3rd through June 14th at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Tickets at nsmt.org.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Well, this is the part of the show where we have to wrap things up. How about Christopher Knight? What a
awesome?
nice person he is.
Just amazing, huh?
Could you believe that he started the whole story about how he knew Dan, saying, I've always told Dan if he wants a bigger star to go ahead. And Dan stood right here with us and said, he has never turned away from me ever, and I've so appreciated that.
And he never will. He'll give back whatever he can, and just, he's that kind of guy. He's a man of his word.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, then there's nothing fake about Chris Knight. And Dan even told us that, too, off the air.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. I can say that after working with him on events, too.
Absolutely.
Real stand-up guy.
Hey, listen, talk about a stand-up guy. You do a lot of charitable events.
Thank
you do
you.
a lot in the area, and I know the community so appreciates that.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it.
I know, obviously, this one is one that's near and dear to your heart. Do you have others that you feel really strongly about?
Yeah, there's another one we had. My wife and I are actually pretty involved with. It's sort of the Pete Frates Foundation for ALS awareness, obviously. But there's someone by the name of Chuck who passed away 2 years ago. Last year, and his wife is just awesome. They have a thing called Walk for Chucklings, which is up in the North Shore in July. It's excellent, and it all is part of the raising awareness for ALS.
Yep.
That's just fantastic. Also, Special Olympics Massachusetts. We have a really good partnership with them, with the Patriots and the Revolution. So between those three right there, and there's so many great, unbelievable charities out there, but those three right there really hit home, close to home.
Absolutely, yeah. And sometimes you have to just give your all for a few of them.
Absolutely.
Because it's tough to get out to everything. Continued success. One of the things
Kim.
I did not mention here is that you're also a full-time school teacher.
Can you believe that? that?
No, I can't.
And you were so nice to let my students come in here to a show you had back in the spring, and they're just so appreciative of that. So Watertown High School students, thank you very much.
Well, listen, they were an engaged, wonderful group, and they're lucky to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate
somebody
that.
who has firsthand experience. They couldn't get better experience,
I appreciate
so they're very fortunate. I was lucky to have you keeping me company today. Thank you for doing it.
Kim, it's an honor. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, sir, very much. Quick reminder to everybody, Journey Forward. It's June the 4th. Go to their website and be sure you check it out. If you're watching us on YouTube, we hope that you will subscribe. And if you're not following us on social media, please do so. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you again next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan and Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan and Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan and Company is David Thompson, and our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.